manuscript was in my hand, there was no looking back. Now, fulfilled with determination and all charged up, yes, I've done my book, I stepped out into an uncharted territory. I didn't know where I was heading, with a hope, that somebody might publish my book. And after facing multiple rejections, today I'm laughing, but I knew what the grind was. Round about leading 35 plus publishers rejected my book. Eventually, I managed to find a publisher and I released it. Published the book as well as I released it on Amazon. And guess what, students? To my surprise, the book went Amazon #1 bestseller in the first 6 months of the launch. Now, this gave me some confidence that, yes, let me go approach schools. And I started taking my book to every school in Mumbai. And over the span of next 2 years, I managed to leave my presence and make a mark in most of the leading schools of Mumbai. As my network was growing, the schools were growing, we were scaling, I could not handle it all by myself. And this instilled another spark in me. And it was by empowering women and creating job opportunities. And the biggest thing for me was for women who were homemakers, like how I was one a few years back. My aim was now to train women in calligraphy, which would provide them, #1, with their skills, the right skill set, the resources, so that not only could they help at their home, but also the community. Along with that, we were reviving the art for our cultural heritage of the nation. Now, having our dream team ready, we wanted to go all out and make a difference in the world. One of the most rewarding and the touching aspects of my journey has been going all out with our team to work for the special children. Now, we took calligraphy to another level, making it a mode of self-expression, a creative outlet, and special kids, with, you can see the pictures here. It is the whole team and, the teachers, all of us were like all heart out. It's another level to work with these children. So this became a creative outlet, an avenue for them to showcase their unique talent. And one promise which I've given in every school, I will train a student right till the end and make a teacher over there out of one of these students as well. We are working on right now. Today, across Mumbai and Pune, we are serving many such schools with children of special needs and a lot of NGOs. And yes, I must mention, we did a special launch for these children to one of the books we launched specially for them. Witnessing this growth has been truly inspiring and very, very satisfying in the career of my life. Now, again, I felt there was no looking back, a little more overconfident. You go all out. India is my expansive canvas. Now the team is ready. And to spread city by city, we're in Hyderabad, we're in Pune, we are in spreading all across. The strata of our society was the best of IB schools, the SSC schools, the children with special needs, from the age group of 7 to my oldest student being 87. And now we were hit by the unprecedented challenge posted by the COVID-19 pandemic. COVID taught me how to make the best out of the worst situation. As the world shifted online, all our schools shifted online. It took our team 2 months, 60 days, and the whole team was ready to teach online. Embracing this technology and the virtual platforms, now we started to connect individuals across the borders, every corner of the world, through online workshops. We had international calligraphy exhibitions online, one-on-one sessions, seminars. We were able to transcend the physical boundaries and bring our art of calligraphy to the global audiences. So the challenge which started, we thought it's all over. Schools have shut down. That's the last thing one can think of, schools shutting down. And that transformed again into a very big opportunity for us to unite people with a shared passion and helping them reach corners not only in India now, but it was going across borders internationally. I'm very humbled to share, dear students, that over the period of 20 years, I have authored 6 books on the subject of calligraphy. These books have been first of their kinds. Every alphabet, every line, every word, every drawing has been written by me. And yes, my children have been a great support in that. These books are super cost effective. It's available for the masses. Anybody can pick up and learn the art. We have made our presence in 30 plus schools over the last decade. We have received awards at a state level, national level for our contribution in the education of calligraphy. We have been also associated with India's largest education seminars in multiple cities. Yes, and we were also part of Indo-Iran. This was in Iran, the government of Iran and government of India coming together, Indo-Iran and calligraphy exchange exhibition, which took place at the Iran Culture House, Mumbai, where we catered to more than 1,000 students. And it was in 4 languages, Arabic, Hindi, English, and Gujarati. Alongside calligraphy, I am also a trained Gwalior Gharana singer, a musician and a guitarist, which led me to open my music school, catering to, again, around 1,500 students over the past 2 decades. Being an MC myself, I have coordinated and anchored fully led events like the Mayor of London, Mayor of Leicester, and handful of Bollywood ones. Lastly, I'm also on the board of directors of India's leading export house of agri-commodities. It is a listed company called Sakuma Exports. I have yet more to share. Wait. As I stand here before you today, I yet have a profound dream. I've yet reached just halfway. I want to take this art to each and every village of our country, every child, regardless of their location and their background. By weaving calligraphy into our educational system, we can unlock the untapped potential of our youth, foster their creativity, enhance their lives, enrich their lives, and help our generations to come in the future. Last but not the least, this is for my dearest students. I adore students. My life has been devoted to students, so all out to you guys. Reflecting on my life's full journey as a calligraphy educator, a singer, advocate of empowerment, I'm very grateful, one, as an opportunity to come and share my story with you. It is, children, through my struggles and growth that I found my purpose and passion, making a little difference in the world. Dear all, let us remember, growth happens only when we step out of our comfort zone. Nothing grows in your comfort zone. Let us empower women. Let us create opportunities. When we are blessed with something, let's go all out in the society to share it with others. Let us embrace this transformative power of calligraphy and music, for they have the ability to touch hearts, bridge gaps over the world, leave an indelible mark in our society, and inspire generations to come. So we make this place a better and a happy place. Yes? 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 Yes. Thank you so very much.
What an amazing talk, ma'am. It is honestly incredible to see one person being dedicated and passionate about one such art form. It is amazing to see you here. And now we would like to felicitate you. I would like to invite Dr. Zulekha Humawazir and Dr. Varsha Agarwal to felicitate, ma'am.
it's about merit. It's about who's good at doing something. So those are some of the things which are natural, and they will happen wherever you set your foot for the first time. And it's applicable to all. Like I continue to say, it's not about the gender. It's about what you're best at and how to lead that life to be the best version of yourself. I'll move on to my second phase of life. Now, I love this life. I had a purpose. I was extremely happy about everything. But then that dream ended because it was a 10-year contract. And the choice I had was to start all over again or continue to be a homemaker or, go to a local school or teach. And I was a Major Saab, a decorated soldier who had seen war. I was known for everything I did. And then suddenly life would have been nothing. So that bothered me. I said, what am I good at? What can be my purpose? And do I have all the answers? I didn't. In fact, probably the answers I had, many of them were wrong answers. I made so many mistakes. And that part in 2006 was crazy because I was a soldier. I knew to shoot straight. I was phenomenal. I got written about in history books and all that. But when it came to the real world, I knew nothing. I used to see people at airports, talking with those flashy Bluetooths back in 2006, and I would wonder, what do they do? I didn't know about it. I had zero technical skills. So it was a huge learning curve for me. I said, I'm going to reskill. I'll go back to a business school. I'll study what it is all about and start a new career. So driving at, 100, 120 kilometer speed in the mountains and desert. Suddenly I was back in Bangalore, where you're clutch braking your way to work 2 hours a day. It was insane. And this is just one example of how life changed for me suddenly when I landed the first corporate role in 2006. People often ask me, can corporations be as great as Indian Army is? The same bonhomie, the same culture. I tell them only one thing. You know why Indian Army does everything that it does? Because each soldier knows its why. They know what they're defending. It's not hard for them to give their lives for the Paltan, for the organization and family, because they know that the organization will be safe and they're doing it for the country. Does it happen with the corporations? Not all. There are very few, because profit generation becomes a foremost thing and you can leave it when you're not happy. So how do you find a purpose in places like that? We all have careers and you're all going to go to a lot of great organizations. How do you stay anchored in your purpose? I think for me, it was important to look at it every day. And I found my purpose in leading initiatives around women and welfare, looking at employees and how I could better their lives, personality development, financial education. So a lot of those things kept me happy through the last 15 years. And then, of course, the entrepreneurial bug bit me. I got into the consulting in the startups. I started to teach. And I think in the last couple of years, the two things that impacted me a lot was becoming a faculty and teaching at IIM Kashipur, and the sessions I took where the students came back and said they remember each session very well. And the other, of course, was a lot more deeper. My parents, both, my dad passed away in lockdowns, and my mom I lost in January this year. And believe me, having been a soldier, having gone through lives in the earlier, I realized nothing touches you or changes you the way when loss hits you, your own loss. So that was a lot of grief, but I grew from that experience also. I think whoever I am and looking at purposes from a very different angle happened to me over the last 2 years. So I said, what am I good at? I looked at it from another angle. And I feel that, purpose happens in two ways. One, the universe grants it to you. If you really wish for something, it happens. And the second way it happens is you do a lot of self-reflection and you try to see, what am I good at? What do people come to me for? And in my case, people kept coming back to me for career guidance. They kept coming back for life situations. People even asked me travel itineraries. So these are some of the things I said, okay, maybe I'm good at these things. And how can I leverage on these strengths to make a difference to the world? So I continue to do a lot of those things. And I guess that's what made me who I am. Now today, what can I tell you about purpose for all of you? I think I have just one slide here, which says, first is self-awareness. You know, identifying your own strength, knowing what you're passionate for, and to whom you can be of service. The day you realize a mix of these been my beautiful journey of all the possible things I tried to do, and I will quickly show you in terms of pictures, the life that I have led and what I've been most happy about. So there you go. So as I say, this little girl there has traveled a good distance. This was 1996. These are some pictures from over the years while I was with the army in that's Pangongso Lake, if you all have been to Ladakh. That's the last day of being the Major Saab when I was holding my son in my arms and being all nostalgic about leaving what I loved most. This is how I've added my voice to a lot of people and their journeys. This is what makes me very happy. Academic engagements, celebrating just being a woman, traveling the world, these are my lovely children. This is how I find joy. And this is the latest. I've started learning and teaching yoga about 5 months ago. So I keep trying to learn something new. And this is how I have tried to add value to the world. So as you know, I think it's been a beautiful journey for me. Everything that I've tried, I continue to unlearn, I continue to learn, and I continue to think, what is my purpose? How can I make a difference? And what is it that I'm best at? I leave you with this last thought from Emerson, which says, make a difference and live well. So, my dear students, live well. Jai Hind.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be starting now because the much anticipated speaker is now among us, Sadashiv Nayak. The accomplished former CEO of Future Retail Limited oversaw some of India's popular retail chains. He is known for their innovative offerings, quality products, and affordable prices. Through his extensive industry knowledge and commitment to customer satisfaction, Sadashiv has been an instrumental person in the success and growth of various organizations in the retail business. So you might say he is the retail king. Introducing Mr. Sadashiv Nayak. Him with a huge round of applause.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? You can? Yeah. Right. I know there are a lot of pillars, but I'm still going to try and make sure that I'm visible and heard to all of you. As you saw the introductory video, you saw the hair is still thinning and continuously goes to thin, but it did remind me of some of my earlier days. Thanks for that, Janil. Yeah. So I'm going to possibly, yeah. I would like to ask you what's common between two things, right? Bring your own food party and a new rule in school cricket. Yeah, some of you played school cricket in Harris Shield. What is common between these two things? Friends. Okay, what else? Team. Okay, fine. Yes, all of it. But for me, it was a little different. The school there, which you see on the right, is a small school near the now Dabolim airport of Goa. I studied there in the 70s, just to kind of make sure the decade is right. And this was a small school, and you could see the flights take off and go. There were exactly 5 flights which landed in the whole year in Goa at that time. And there was one party which used to cherish every year. The party which was really around Christmas, where each one of us was supposed to get one item, keep it in the center of the table, and sit around, all of us small kids, right? And the teacher would go about distributing one item to each one of them. Yeah? There were some well-to-do people, kids from well-to-do background who'd get mango slush, pastries, puffs, what have you, Goa, right? But I've often experienced the shame and embarrassment of possibly carrying very modest item. That's all some of us could carry there. We would carry a roti jam, we would carry lemonade, maybe some chips. And then you know how kids are. The moment you put those items, they'll say, oh, boring, chi. You know? And that's a feeling which stayed in me. But one thing remained at the end of it. When those items were served to all the children, and at the end of the evening, you could hear all of them finish the plates, clean, dry, and all of them with a smile on their faces. And that told me that I personally was experiencing at a very early age some bit of exclusion, and then finally some bit of inclusion. What you see on the right is really, I've got twin boys, and these twin boys were very good in cricket. They were excellent bowlers. How many of you play cricket here? Wonderful. I wish many more girls raised their hands, but they were only the boys who were raising their hands. Okay, so they were good bowlers, but their batting performance was always in single-digit scores. As a result of that, they would make sure that they're there in all the practice matches, but they would never make it to the final selection. Yeah, because you're not an all-rounder. And then in 2016, our little master Sachin Tendulkar introduced a new rule for school cricket in Harris Shield. And the rule said, play 14 instead of 11. 8 would be common teams, 3 would come to bat and go, 3 would come to bowl and go. And these twin boys managed to get in. I think in their debut match, which with the new rule, that was a debut match, a new rule of Sachin Tendulkar, the team won, the Bombay Scottish team. They've set up a new record for legacy. They've created a new record for legacy, and everyone went home happy. But there was a lesson in this for me. My twin boys did manage to get in for their bowling, but after excluding 3 good batsmen who could not play for half of the match. Yeah? And so to me, these two instances were about saying exclusion and inclusion go together. And that's what I'm going to talk about today, about if you're wanting to include something, you have to learn to exclude first. As a society, as a community, I always believe there are natural processes, rituals, systems, which are barriers to inclusion, right? I'm sure you would have faced some of them. Let's say right from a school, I'm sure we've all been in some houses, right? There are those WhatsApp groups, the good morning, good afternoon groups, which are belonging to families and dear friends. And you don't allow anyone to come inside those groups. There's a golfers group, there's a bicycle group, and so on and so forth. So naturally, I think we are conditioned to say, let's flock together. People with like affinities flock together. That's one part. Second, I think I'm seeing a very interesting part of people getting some reassurance of collectively judging someone. If he's the enemy of my friend, he's my enemy too. So that ironically brings people together, the fact that let's collectively not like someone. And lastly, I think there's a dreaded normal curve, which I see in corporates. I've often encountered it, and I hear also in some academic institutions as well. I'm a sworn enemy of the normal curve. You know the normal curve, right? It says most of the people are at the center, they are normal. Then there are some outliers on the right-hand side who are super normal, and they get the best increments, they get the best grades. And then it goes quietly and says the left-hand side of the curve are possibly not people whom we want. Yeah, they are abnormal, they are not up to the mark, they're non-conforming, and that's when you start this kind of segregating them separately. And to me, there's a learning there that we are normally conditioned, all these three examples I gave you, we are normally conditioned to make a separation, say, let me exclude something. Let's change the topic. I think intuitively, spontaneously, I think if you notice, we are born to be negative. I'm making a provocative statement, but I am born to be negative. So let's say, how was the walk today? How was the weather today when you walked? How was your flight today when you came into work? How was the food in the feast today? Yeah, I'm sure you asked these questions to many, or someone asked you this question. Just remember what is the first answer which you would have heard. It would start with the N.O. No. Yeah, how was the walk today? Well, weather was very sultry. The flight was very choppy, turbulent, and a khane mein salt went missing. I'm sure these are very natural words which you'll keep hearing from people. Yeah, and forgetting that you had lovely greenery in your walk, forgetting that you took a power nap in the flight, forgetting that the desserts were fantastic in the feast. You'll only point out the negative. And that got me thinking that to everything which we have, our first spontaneous reaction is to be negative. I'm sure you've seen this video, right? You take a bottle, you put in rocks, then you put in pebbles. It still has a lot of space for sand. But the practical problems of inclusion which I've encountered often are very clunky. They're like rocks and rocks and rocks here. They're not rocks and pebbles and sand. So I've often seen that to include something, you have to go to that bottle, first throw out the sand, take out the pebbles and take out some rocks and then put in more rocks. That's the only way to get more rocks into the bottle, contrary to the videos which we see out. And that was a learning to me, to say that if you're going to go into an inclusion drive, you have to exclude something necessarily. What I'm going to do here, because as my friend introduced me, I'm going to share with you 4 or 5 examples from retail where we went on including something, but after excluding something, right? So the first part, and that's what, when I came to something known as the execution checklist, my first part on the checklist is to include footprints. You have to exclude the footwear. Imagine a store in 2004, 2005 in a small town of Nasik. We saw a very strange thing happening, 2004, 2005, right? And way back then, that was my first year in retail. You would see a lot of people come to the store and keep their footwear out. Yeah, this is a classic store which you would have seen of the hypermarket which I worked for. A lot of people would keep their footwear out. This was such a lovely store. The first store in the city which has an air-conditioned environment. The first store with a lift. The first store with an escalator and trolleys to move. Yeah. There was overall awe and inspiration for the people, but they kept their footwear out. So what was the result of all that? The purchases were very small. The billings was very small. My CFO, I'm sure some of you from the finance fraternity, he would say Tata to EBITDA. Ab kuch nahi banne wala. There's nothing going to happen in this store. Yeah? And because all the purchases were so small. Fortunately, the team which worked there was one of the earliest teams of retail, and their livelihood depended on the success of this store. They asked us to keep faith. So what happened really is They started counters for under 10 items. They made sure that they get in smaller packs and smaller discounts. They made sure that there were smaller baskets, because if I'm only going to buy 2 packs, that large trolley makes me feel, well, incompetent, right? So smaller baskets, smaller trolleys, and they went about welcoming each and every customer, big or small. That store went to become a significant store in retail, the Nasik store. But more importantly, what was happening was with this exclusion of judgment over footwear, it was laying foundation to something which was close to modern trade. Today, India, we all know, boast about the next big thing happening in retail. It welcomed e-commerce, it welcomed marketplaces, it created huge employment. Not everyone's as fortunate as the people sitting here. After 10th or 12th, if someone wants a job in India, retail created that. And I was fortunate to be part of an environment which created 30,000 jobs in 10 years. And there were many more who did far more better than that. So what the Nasik store did, what the customers did, and what our teams did was to say, we will include many more and become what we proudly call to the modern trade category of India, right? And that's what was my first lesson, that anecdotally what the team did was to say, exclude the judgment on the footwear, welcome the footfalls, welcome the footprints. And I think that's something which is very, very dear to my heart. We'll move to the next. Include the dare and exclude care. And if you wonder what this is about, well, I think, how many of you remember their first day at school, their first day at work? I'm sure some of you have been to work, and the first visit to a 5-star hotel. You know, we often recount it with great joy, bahut acha raha. But let's go back and think. The first day at school, I think all of us cried because it made us feel not being taken care of. Someone's just left in the school and gone away. The first day at work, we all fumble, right? Because there's nothing in control. You're waiting somewhere, your boss is supposed to meet you but not meeting you, no one knows you've joined, etc., etc. Largely in many places which I've been part of work. And the first visit to a 5-star hotel, well, I even now go through it. You're constantly looking at the right-hand side of the menu, right? Saying, okay, am I going to be there? You know, what's going to happen? Is my date going to be embarrassed about this? Yeah. And that's the fear of losing something which you already built. Now, there comes an age, I believe, and we call that age the senior citizen age. When you encounter all these fears, the fear of losing control, the fear of losing your possession, and the fear of not being taken care of. And all of them kind of make the senior citizen individual or the couple very, very vulnerable. In retail, the hypermarket chain which I was associated with decided to kind of do something for them. And the very first ideas when we sat down for a brainstorming was around care. Oh, I care for them so much. So let's do a diet tips for them. Oh, I care for them so much. Let me do a pathological test drive for them. I care for them so much. Let me do financial planning tips. And that's when I came in and said, what are you going to exclude? But these are all good inclusions, right? And we said, let's exclude the care itself. Let's treat them like regular customers. And we created what is known as the Young Elders Day, which was a shopping event every Thursday. Close to 100,000 customers would shop every Thursday. See, all senior citizen, but we banished the word senior citizen. We started calling them young elders. We banished their age. We banished judging them on how much money they have. We banished their very title itself. No longer were they called senior citizen. Even today, I find it very difficult to call anyone above a certain age senior citizen. I call them a young elder. And that what really happened is we gave them a small discount just to kind of make sure it was lucrative. But this is what you really saw, which made them come again and again. We curated a special event for them. They would come shop and there would be a storytelling contest. They would come shop and there would be a contest to kind of go and do a recipe contest for the men and women. You see some of them cooking a item here. There was a disco evening. There was the automatic car race contest. And I think the ultimate was we did India's first fashion show for young elders or senior citizens in the store, which was very well promoted. And you saw people came out in full glory. The figure in between, right? The person came in full glory. You had men and women doing the ramp walk. We'd created ramps in all the store. So that's what we really ended up doing for senior citizens. We excluded a care and included a dare. The next one is really including the pizza box and excluding the pizza slice itself. This comes from a very regular thing about corporates where we kind of selfishly looking for share gains. And there was a product which got launched in retail It was called a magic mop. Nothing was magical about it, trust me. But it was a mop with a big handle. And maybe a decade ago, it started getting a lot of traction. A lot of people came and bought this mop. So what was the first reaction of the buyers in my team? To say, let's invoke a very dangerous clause called the exclusivity clause. We told the vendors of this mop, don't give this product to anyone else. It's only for us, this hypermarket. Yeah. How were they any different from the carbonated beverage brand, which said, I'm going to keep a certain beverage brand here, but you cannot keep anyone else's brand there? We were not very different. And what does happen? You have 3-4 beverage brand refrigerators by wasting space, electricity, and stocks. So here we challenge saying, what are you going to exclude? And we decide to exclude that whole clause on exclusivity. And we encourage these brands to go about giving this product to many more people, all the competitors we had, all the grocery stores we had. And what came out was magic. I think the grocers got to introduce to a new product which they would have otherwise not had access to. The category of cleaning exploded. And this hypermarket, you know, went on to become a $2 billion enterprise, employing 30,000 people and 300 stores. So frankly, here was a case where everyone got a share of one slice, only one slice of pizza. But the box was becoming bigger, so the slice was becoming bigger for each one. And that was my learning from this third level of exclusion, where you excluded the pizza and instead focused on the box and said, let's make it larger. The next one, I think the next one is really including the play and excluding the playbook. Yeah? And there's a nice photo of bhajiyas here. I think much before we narrated diversity, equity, inclusion, I was part of a team which set up India's first all-women supermarket. This is 2005, unheard of, right? All-women supermarket, led by a very enterprising store head and a very enthusiastic team. We said, do whatever you want. I said whatever I want. My team did not support me. And you had something very magical happen. So the announcement started becoming recipes. Every 4 o'clock, there was chaat pakoras being given as sample. And people, whoever left the store, would be given a bunch of coriander and one lemon as a free return gift. Yeah. If that was not enough to incite the masculine criticism, they started singing out the promotions. Buy one, get one. You'd often hear a bunch of girls singing the promotions. Last 2 hours, you know, then you had the songs and songs about promotion. What happened to the store? Did it succeed? Well, honestly, the bad news is after 8 months, the store shut down. And for many more years after that, I heard, see, this is not how you run a store. You should never do it like that. This is wrong. But deep within, I didn't have to justify to others. There were 2 learnings. One, this store was amongst 5 other stores which shut down because there were other constraints of location which it could not cater to, which could not match. Nothing to do with the store inside. And second, what the young girls, the musical girls did to us was gave a big lesson to retail, saying shopping can be dull and boring. Add engagement, add indulgence, add a little bit of play. So in this case, we excluded the playbook. A new playbook got created. There are many more brands which do it far more successfully than the young bunch of girls. All of them rose to become very strong retailers in various organizations. So that kind of validated my thoughts, saying this is how things could be done by including a much larger set of girls into retail at those days, a much larger thought of doing engaging retail and excluding the conventional playbook. Last, for including the affinity, exclude the sympathy. I'm going to describe a scenario to you in a Noida hypermarket, a large hypermarket in Noida. It's 8 a.m. in the morning. It's quite dark, I would say mildly dark. The store is operational. It's very silent. The trolleys are moving very slowly. The staff are whispering to each other. They're not talking. It's almost like someone scolded saying no noise. But to make up for that, you have a bunch of shoppers, each one with a child or 2, shopping briskly and making up for all the sound. What I'm describing to you is what we called the quiet hour. It was a special hour every Tuesday designed for children with autism. Yeah, they can't take large sound, they can't take large sounds, a lot of light, and there was nothing for shopping for them. When you spoke to some of the parents, they said there's nothing to make our children shop because everyone objects because they get disturbed by the sound. So this was 1 hour created around it. But this began again with sympathy, saying, oh, I feel so bad for the child. Oh, this is corporate social responsibility. Let me do something else. And we said, let's abandon all of it. Let's abandon and exclude the sympathy. Let's look at what really will build affinity for them. They're a bunch of shoppers, and we need to do what we're good at. That's what we're shopping. And what really came out was 155 stores started welcoming 14 disabilities for shopping across the country. Yeah, and the quiet hour was an ideal validation. I think no other shopping hour, at least in India, I know it's there abroad, which was got done around for children in autism. It's extremely tough to create a shopping environment for them. We had special trial rooms, special toilets, which could take the wheelchairs. You had signages which became louder. There was AV audiovisual signages, and there were people who could converse in sign language. What you see here, if this scares you, I've just taken a grab of an announcement of a promotion for the hearing disabled. Yeah, this lady is exaggerating and saying, "Rush, only 2 more days of the offer." And that's what she's trying to say to a very different set of audience. So to me, this was a case where we excluded the sympathy and built in much larger empathy. Now, and that's where we all began, right? And I think we may end up saying that these are all examples from retail. You all mentioned them in second and third person. But let's take a quick pause and see what the customer in Nasik told us, that you need to exclude a judgment on appearances and just bless them for their presence there. What the grocer told us, that it's okay to be competitive and need not and exclude a competition. What the young elder, the senior citizen, told us, that exclude my view and take on your view, include your view. What the women from the first supermarket told us, to say that exclude your obsessiveness about valuation and instead embrace values. In this case, the value was customer service. And finally, the people with disabilities told us that you should exclude this whole need to say, I'm not good. Let me do what I'm good at and let's present to the whole world, right? And if you think they are only to retail, just think about it. The grocer could be an uncle of ours in some remote corner of the country whose business is getting disrupted by e-commerce and he doesn't know how to navigate the space. The customer in Nasik could be your and my house help's daughter who wants to do a data science course but doesn't know how to find it. The young elder, the senior citizen, could be your parent, my grandparent in some remote corner in Bihar or Mangalore, fighting loneliness and abandonment. The women in the store, in the all-women store, could be someone who has an art of music but doesn't know how to monetize it. And finally, the people with disability could be someone close to you who's always finding himself inadequate and not getting enough support from the system. If you look around, these personas do exist. They may be sitting right now next to you. They may be somewhere in the auditorium behind. They may be in this building, in your housing society, in the larger community. These personas exist and they seek inclusion. I think we need to be a little more large-hearted. We need to be a little more lighter. We need to expand our vision and include them. But my task today was to tell you that these roles exist, these personas exist. I would urge you to go and include many of them, but recognize that there will be barriers. And the only lesson which I leave behind for you, if you decide to go that path, and I spoke to some lovely students from you who spoke about what they're doing. If you decide to go on the path to include, then first figure out what's your exclusion checklist. What are you going to throw out? What will make way? What will be lighter? What is the baggage you will shed? I wish all of you many, many, many more instances to include in your life, but more importantly, have the lightness of exclusion. Do exclude and include as much as you can. Namaste.
Thank you so much, sir, for such beautiful insights.
Yeah.
I would request Dr. Agarwal to come and facilitate, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I can't believe this. I mean, you all have an entire day of just sitting and listening to speakers talk, and you all aren't bored. I mean, it's an amazing energy that I'm feeling here on stage. You should clap. So yes, I think you all remember me. I didn't know you all would remember me. Yeah, so my name is Darshil Safari, and you all saw me very prominently in the film Tare Zameen Par. I played... that's okay. Thank you. I played... Hey, I need extra time for this. So there's... I play the character of Ishan, and most of you all, I think, are still coming to terms with, has he grown up? Go check his teeth. Yeah, this is me, 100% real and authentic. I'm super excited and very, very happy to be standing here right in front of you. You all are thinking, what am I going to talk about? And frankly, even I am wondering what to talk about. But yeah, I think most of you all are aspiring MBA and BBA students. And it's really funny that the people here at SkillTech University decided to call an actor here from an absolutely different field. I think that there's something that you all can connect with from my life, definitely. And if you all don't, just tell me. I'm mostly remembered for the first project that I've ever done. And I keep thinking that, how did I get this chance? Everyone keeps talking, you got this chance, you got this lifetime opportunity, once in a lifetime opportunity mila hai. And I was too young to really understand the gravity of the situation at that time. And after that, I've continued acting. 16 years I've been in the industry. And I've done various other types of work. I've done theater, I've done web series, shows, everything. And I still keep wondering as to how and why people still remember me for that first thing that I ever did. And I didn't actually do anything to get that chance. You know, people have to like take years of, hard work and memberships and classes and tuitions and every other thing to really get that chance. So I didn't do anything. So I went back. We had a lot of free time in the pandemic. So I really went back to really understand as to what this chance was, how I got it. I was 8 years old, way before the audition of the film. I was 8 years old. I was extremely naughty. I was a brat of a child, and I had a lot of energy inside me. And my parents decided to use this energy to really good use. They said that we'll enroll him in dance classes. So I used to go and dance. I was a peculiar child. I had big eyes, small nose, and teeth that were almost jutting a foot out of my mouth. Almost. I couldn't even shut my mouth. But what used to happen is that I loved dancing. So they promoted me to a senior dance batch. You know, they have that one dancer in a group which is very eye-catching. So it was me. And I used to be in my own tune. So they had dance performances almost every 4 months. And the best part was that the biggest actors from the industry and the most like the celebrities used to come and watch us perform and support the kids. So that was a lot of the drive for me to dance. And I used to love dancing also, but I used to also enjoy performing in front of them. So I was going to perform. This was about my 4th or 5th year. And on my way to the stage, like coming from here, I saw a notice, a hand-drawn notice of this person, like it looked like a person who was doing the Usain Bolt pose in red and blue. And it was written down, the first thing that I said looking at that to my friends around me, I can draw better. And this is some audacity because I didn't know how to draw for nuts, honestly. I had a superiority complex that very few could rival at that age. So the first thing I said that I could draw better, and then I read opportunity to work with Amir Khan in a film, age group from 10 to 12 years. The first thing that came out of my mouth is, I'm not doing this. And I got my 2% of validation from my friends for my guts to say such a thing. But inside, I knew I would never stand a chance because I was 9 years old. So I went on stage. I decided that, okay, this is frustrating. I need to go and remove my entire frustration on stage and dance. So I danced my heart out. I danced so hard. I was supposed to slap my co-dancer. It was a fake slap. I actually really slapped that person. I'm apologies, my friend, if you're actually seeing this, I'm really sorry for doing that on stage. And then I went back and I was feeling the energy and I was amped up, and there was a reaction also when I slapped the person because it's on silence. So everyone's like, oh, it was a real slap. So I enjoyed that attention. And then from the corner of my eye, because what happens is you are the shortest, so you'll be prominently placed. You won't be performing behind. So I was performing ahead, and from the corner of my eye, I saw Amir Khan enters and sits, and he's starting to watch a performance. I did not freeze. That did not hamper my confidence one bit. I danced harder. I saw our dance director whispering something in his ear like this, and he's pointing at me. So I thought this might be my last dance performance. I jumped off stage. I don't know, I did random stuff. And I don't know, very weirdly, this worked out in my favor. I got the trophy for the best dancer. I was very happy about it. Then, just before, like a couple of weeks before this performance, I had befriended Amol Gupte sir. Amol Gupte, by the way, is the writer of the film and the creative director of the film. The soul of the film, rather. And I had befriended him. You know, parents always say that you should not go and talk to strangers. I was a rebel. I said, I will go, first thing I'll do and talk to strangers, because I was very curious. So we developed pet names for each other. I used to call him Frog for some reason. And he used to call me Ustad, which I used to love. Even he saw the dance performance. And right after, the atmosphere in my house changed suspiciously. I was thinking, why is everyone being so nice to me? I think someone has complained and a big explosion is going to come. So what's happening? And I was misunderstood. I mean, obviously I was misunderstanding the situation. It was because they had invited me to audition. So I was over the moon as usual. I went like some seasoned professional actor. I entered the room, and I won't describe what I did in the audition. Then I started telling everyone that I've started shooting the film. Hands down. It's some other confidence I was living in. I was going to school first day. I went, this button, I opened this is not supposed to be open. I opened it and I went. I was like, I've shot a film. And they're like, have you seen your face? It didn't hamper me one bit. This disbelief actually was, I took it in my stride very happily, because I was like, okay, these people don't believe me yet, but I'm shooting a film. Because I was called again for the second round of auditions. The thing is, I never understood what an audition meant. So I thought, well, film shooting, I don't know what I was. So right after that, a month or so later, my mother came, and my father was out of town, and my mother came and she's like, Dashil, you're doing the film. And I said, happy realization. She actually, like, the shock on her face, I mean, I laugh about it every now and then, we discuss. She sat me down, she explained what an audition meant, that I had been selected from amongst thousands of kids, and it's a prestigious opportunity. And also, finally, that I won't be doing the film. So all the sad Bollywood songs started playing in my head. I was living my own sad life. And I don't know how this happens, because I always feel someone or something up there is looking up on me, having their hands on me as a safety belt, because my principal got involved in this. My school principal, she had to almost convince my parents to allow me to do this. She was the reason why I'm even standing here right now. I think we should just clap for her. Thank you, ma'am. She said this. I was standing here like this, as if I've done some big, mess up in class, and my parents were there as if I'm the worst student ever. And my principal is like, it's not necessary that your child has to be always excelling in academics. It can be something else. And this opportunity does not come to everyone or every day. You should try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And my parents, I saw them change their expression, and very dramatically, I fell on her feet. I kid you not, this actually happened. And she almost slapped me for it because it was all too much in the moment. So that's how I guess I got my chance, because then that's thanks to her that I got the chance to put my step onto a movie set, because I was thinking, what are the odds? What did I do to get this? And after a lot of overthinking and overanalyzing, I thought that I just had to do one thing right. I was just being myself. All of that overconfidence and all of that ruckus that you saw me create was a part of the character that I was playing in the film. So I would honestly, like, to all of you here who's listening, I would just say that I'm sure you all understood the importance of identity and being yourself, and you keep people, your friends, everyone keeps saying, be yourself, don't be scared, don't hide stuff, but have a no holds barred approach. Honestly, like, this is the weapon that will take you leaps and bounds into the future and in succeeding as to what you want to do. Just keep that self attitude, self identity thought in your head that, okay, this is who I am, and be true to yourself. You don't like something, you don't like it, you like it, you like it. I was like that. Then I had to change that entire thought process, then I unlearn it completely after that. But then after that, I was like, okay, what next? I'm doing a lot of work. I was flooded with a lot of work, thankfully, after that. And I wasn't getting that same reaction that, like, now the movie came, you all started singing. It was such a heartwarming feel. And I'm like, okay, what about the other work that I did? Does anyone remember? My intent for that work was similar. I wanted to entertain you all. I wanted you all to feel good. Something memorable, some thought that you all take behind. So I was thinking, what next? How do I get this chance? Ye chance mil nahi raha hai. Although, imagine I was doing films, I was doing stuff, I was putting pressure on myself. You know, we all put pressure on ourselves. Honestly, sometimes I feel I have blamed others around me for the pressure I put on myself. The first thing you're supposed to do when there's pressure around you is to pamper yourself. That's what I feel. You know, just relax, just soak it in, understand, okay, this is what you're supposed to do. Get a plan, because trust me, no one taught me how to plan, and no one taught me how to think and stuff. Like, my parents was as clueless as me once we set foot in the industry. So I was like, I need to do a few things now in order to get this chance. And I think I'm very, very close to cracking it now at this stage in my life, 16 years after the film released. First thing that I locked onto was that I need to believe in myself. Okay, forget believing in yourself. Just believe in anything or everything. If you just believe, that creates the core of everything that you want to do in life. It's just the fuel that will get you out of your bed or whatever. So belief was the first thing that I caught on to. I said, okay, fine, I believe I can be an actor. And after that, I was thinking as to why do I want to act? I started asking myself those questions. I was like, am I doing this because, people, I've already done the film, I've got the opportunity, so I should just continue doing it. I need to consciously know what I'm doing. I need to be very familiar with what I'm doing. And I need to really have a strong mindset as to, okay, I really like doing this. So you ask the right questions. So the first question I asked myself was, is it for the money? So I said no, but my inner self said yes. And then I was like, okay, is it for the fame? My inner self said no, but my inner self said yes, absolutely. Because it's the fame and the money, it's the love and the adulation that you get, which makes you want to come on stage and perform, It's honestly, me talking right now is all the energy you all are giving me. So I was like, okay, fine. But what if I take both these away? I take the money away and I take the fame away. What next? So then there was a silence because there was no answer. I was just, let's see. I completed school. I got into college and I took the insanely instinctive decision of taking a break from the film industry. I told my father, standing like a hero in front of him, all these decisions I take, I think I'm backed by some legend, When I talk to my father like this, I'm like, Papa, I don't want to work anymore. And he's like, why? You're getting a lot of work and it's really tough, So I was thinking, yeah, it'd be very tough for me to say no. But in my head, I was like, that's my parents' problem. They have to say no. It's not my problem. I can do what I want. So I took a break mostly to really grasp what took place over the last 6 years in school. I met my friends, I started dating and whatnot, and after that, yeah, it was the first time, honestly. I find out later today that in school people had started to date. I didn't even know what dating meant. I thought date like this. This is how, trust me, I'm not kidding. I was that dumb. I used to think that if the teacher's giving you your papers, after you've given an exam and she's giving you your results and your answer sheets are given, and she asks you to do the corrections, I used to think, I used to not do the corrections thinking the teacher's already done the corrections. So it wasn't that space and that self-confidence I had taken this decision. I know everything. I discovered theatre. I performed, I did a street play in front of a live audience, and I was supposed to get slapped by my co-actor, and she had prepared me that I'm not going to slap you, we're going to plan it, full practice, everything, and I don't know what happened there because they were getting live reaction. She actually gave me a slap, and the hardest slap possible. Trust me, there was an echo. I was shocked. I was in character. I was shocked. I was 10 times more shocked. I gave a live performance. It's already done. Okay. So right after that, there was a reaction from the audience. They looked at me and they were like, oh. And trust me, I felt something inside me when there was a relation that I felt with an audience, a live audience at that moment. And that's when I realized I love acting. I want to do this. I can get slapped again and 10 times more. Because of this reaction, I was like, wow, man, this was cool. I slept happy. Honestly, I slept happy that night. You imagine, you get slapped in front of 100, 200 people audience, you're not going to sleep, you're going to block the person, this, that. I was like, thanks. This is what I did. I was very happy. And then I realized that, yes, I love acting because I like people. I like making people smile. I like to relate with an audience. I like, make them think something, or, like how I'm standing here right in front of you. So then I got my answer. I was like, okay, fine. I want to continue acting now. Just 2 more steps. After that, after the right questions, you believe in yourself, you ask yourself the right questions, you're sure about what you want to do. And then you take decisions. We've stopped taking decisions. Even I had, honestly, I was so scared of failing and saying no and being fearful of hearing the word no, that I stopped taking decisions. I was like, okay, baad mein. Let's do it later. So I think taking decisions, your probability is just about what? It's a yes and a no. It's a 50% chance that you're already right. That's what you want, right? You just take a decision, you'll know where you're wrong. In fact, what I believe, honestly, is that there's nothing called wrong. Because even if you're wrong, you tend to learn as to what you did was wrong and not to repeat that again. So it's a win-win both ends. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you get to learn as to what not to do. So you try again. So you take your decisions. I took my decision of doing theatre for the last 6, 7, 8 years before the pandemic. And I did that because I was thinking, I want to polish myself as an actor. I don't want to be a director's actor. I don't want to be like some slave who's told what to do. I want to learn, I want to think from within as to why and have the organic thinking of an actor. So I did theatre. This was all at a risk of moving away from the film industry. In fact, people around 2019 thought that I'd quit the film industry. So this was at a risk, but I took that decision, and then the pandemic comes. So all of a sudden, that entire decision becomes the biggest failure of my life because theatre going almost stops, movie going stops, and I'm thinking, I've ruined myself. This decision is too wrong. It's going to cost me many more years of my life. But then what happens is, right after things start easing, And mind you, I didn't get stuck after realizing it was all doom for me. I continued watching films, web series. I kept on polishing myself. I started monologuing, this, that. I started doing these things because I still didn't let go of the first step, which was belief. And because I was so sure about it. So right after, you won't believe this, I started getting offers after the pandemic started easing down. I didn't have to go and call people. It was naturalistically. And in fact, you see how different I look now. They were fine with it. They were like, we want to see you as a different person. We want to see you as an actor now. So I was like, fine, let's try. So I started giving auditions. I started working out. Things automatically started falling in place for me because I did a few things right at that moment. And then I did films and web series. Now today, I'm doing films and I'm doing web series and I'm doing theater as well. I'm teaching. I'm doing so many things that I like to do, but I've been short about those things. And as long as the universe comes to the party, what happens is they say that the universe will give you a chance when it sees you fit for it. But getting fit for it is in your hands. You like to do what you do. You need to know everything about it. You need to be the encyclopedia. Trust me, I have my friends, my co-actors and everyone saving my name as Encyclopedia Safari. That's because I know everything. I try to learn everything rather. It's not even I know everything. That's the wrong thing to say. I try to learn. I'm like, okay, fine, this is what is happening. This film has come. Okay, fine. That director must have thought of this film from where? I'm trying to understand, okay, how did this actor get into this mindset of giving this dialogue? So recently I watched the film that recently released, a very popular film, and it was more of a documentary biography-ish. And I was just wondering, how did they just deliver these lines? And I started making notes there and there. Because I'm very passionate and I'm very sure about what I'm doing. So you need to do that. And the last step, final one, is just talk to your close ones, your close friends, your family and your relatives, or whoever, your friends, your close gang. Talk to them, share with them. I know this sounds really lectury and boring, but trust me, I used to think of myself as some lone warrior, that I will go through all this experience and all this pain and the excitement of working on something and the de-excitement of not working on something all alone. It didn't help me. One day I got bottled up. It came out as a rant. And when that happened, I felt two things. First thing I felt was, I felt lighter, of course. And the second thing that I felt was that when you tell your close ones, your family specifically, they see your passion and they naturally, unknowingly rather, align themselves with your goal because they love you. They want you to do what you want. They want you to do what you love. They just are not sure about it. So that's why they keep telling you, ye kar, do this, do that. But if you're telling them something in that extent, that, okay, this is what I want to do. I have a short plan. I'm passionate about it. They're going to follow. In fact, they're almost going to avoid becoming hurdles in your path. Imagine you have no hurdles into doing what you want to do just by sharing and just with your close ones, people who matter. So I suggest you all start sharing. So it's simple. You just have to believe yourself. You have to get the right decisions. You have to ask the right questions. You have to take decisions, not be worried about being wrong. Share, communicate with your family, your friends, whoever you feel like, whoever matters to you. And then that's it. The universe doesn't want you to fail. It's definitely going to help. Trust me, I feel that somewhere to the extent of what I'm doing today, me being here right now has also been somewhere manifested. So I think you all can tap into this, even if you all don't believe in this. Yes, I know it's a long time. But yeah, I just feel like, I hope that you all were able to extract something or the other from what I said. It was a pleasure being here. And thank you so much for being so, thank you for being so patient. And I think that's a round of applause for yourselves as well for listening. Thank you. Thanks to Atlas SkillTech University, Diya, Tarushi, ma'am, everyone for inviting me here. It was an honor. Next time I'll talk lesser. Thank you. What?
But what an amazing speech, Darshil. We were all moved by your speech. Honestly, not even kidding.
Thank you.
So now I would like to call upon Dr. Indu Shani to felicitate our amazing young talent. potential intellect. From cutting-edge technologies to groundbreaking social initiatives, each speaker has left an indelible mark on our minds and our hearts. Atlas SkillTech University, as the driving force behind this event, has proven its dedication to foster a culture of creativity, innovation, and ground-cutting education. In this short span of time, we have learned that the future is not fixed. It is a canvas upon which we can paint our dreams and aspirations. It is a collective responsibility to ensure that our brushstrokes we leave behind are the ones that contribute positively to society.